Hello YouTube, the Rev here, dressed for the occasion in my bow tie and suspenders. Dressed for the occasion today because, as we know, today our future depends on one single moment of one impossible day. The day he's been running from all his life. The day of the Doctor. Today, November 23rd, 2013, is, of course, the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. And I am stoked for it. Right now on the Space Channel here in Canada, they're showing a marathon of various Doctor Who specials up until the big moment at about 4:30 this afternoon. My time. Not your time, my time. I don't know what your time is because you're watching from somewhere else within the space-time continuum. But I'm stoked. I'm really looking forward to how this is going to play out. I mean, Matt Smith and David Tennant together in one special along with Billie Piper and Jenna Coleman. It's going to be fantastic, to quote the Ninth Doctor. I can't pronounce his actor's last name, so I'm not even going to attempt. He's just the Ninth Doctor. So throughout the day, you are going to see video updates within this one video. It's going to be a fairly long video of me throughout my house celebrating. I've got some snacks that I'm going to be making that I borrowed from other users here on YouTube. They'll get their due credit down here in the comment section, or the description section, whatever you want to call it. And then after the special, you'll be getting my review of the Day of the Doctor. And because this is being simulcast this year throughout the globe at the same time, I'm not going to be too worried about spoilers. So, with that, let's begin the Day of the Doctor. Hi guys, Rev here, back with you for part of our Doctor Who celebration. Different for me being on this side of the camera, doing all these adjustments. Right now, we're going to get started on my main snack for the day. If you hear any noise in the background, my cat loves the water cooler. And that is our oven. We are in the kitchen, as I just said. And what we're going to do is a snack version of fish fingers and custard. I got this idea from Chad and Angie over at Screen Team, which you'll find their link down below. So, how are we going to go about this? Well, let me just bring you over to my workstation, if I can figure out my tripod. So over here we have a cutting board, we've got flour, we've got graham cracker crumbs, and we've got sugar cookie dough. Now you might be saying, how is this going to make fish fingers and custard? Very, very easily and uniquely at that. So what you want to do with your flour is just take a little bit and put it on your board. Just a little bit. And kind of swirl it around because you don't want your dough to stick. It's very important. You don't want dough to stick to your surface. Get that out of the way. Sugar cookie dough. We only need about half of the roll, if that. So I'm just going to cut the package in half. I'm using pre-made sugar cookie dough. If you want to use, if you want to make your own, or even if you want to buy the dry stuff and make it up yourself, because this is Pillsbury, it's all pre-done, which is wonderful. But we're gonna take out the dough. And putting a bit of flour on our hands, we're just going to work the dough a little bit. Just going to work it into kind of a rectangular shape. Just very gently work it into this rectangular kind of shape. Just like this. I'm not used to doing cooking on YouTube. This is a different realm for me. And I'm not even cooking, I'm baking. So, we've got this kind of thing with our dough. Any excess goes right into the sink, which is right there, but you can't see it. So we've got this. Then what you want to do is grab a small plate. So I've got this one. Just a moment here now. Make sure your plate is, of course, dry. This one was just washed right before we turned on the camera and joined our cooking show already in progress. So we've got a little plate. Open your graham crackers. Or graham wafer crumbs, however you so pronounce it. And just sprinkle out a few. Just sprinkle out some like this. And the principle we're going to be doing is kind of like like if you're doing a batter for chicken. So what we're going to do is cut off these stray ends of our big rectangle, and we'll combine those together. But then just cut your rectangle of dough into a series of smaller rectangles of dough. So we will, depending on how big you want these, my cat is playing with a piece of paper. So I'm going to combine these last two into a smaller one. So we've got 6 regular size strips of dough. Then what you want to do, over here to the graham crumbs, is coat your fish finger in the crumbs. Just give them a little coating. And you want to make sure they get a nice even coating. With the flour, it kind of prevents some sticking. But you can see we've got this, and then you just transfer to a baking sheet. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. We're going to get all of these done. And while you're rolling it in the crumb, pat it in there to get some of the crumbs actually stuck, because the flour prevents sticking in this regard. So just kind of keep tossing it around, pat in the crumbs until you get a layer. And this is going to simulate fish finger batter. I'll show you what all these look like after, because under a light they look better. And I've got the light on, as you can tell, on the stove. Doctor Who, I was a latecomer into the series. Since we're talking Doctor Who today, I was a latecomer in the series. I only started watching this past January. I tried to start watching in the fall. I downloaded an episode from iTunes, and I had been told through means of Pinterest and other various sources around the internet that David Tennant was the Doctor to watch. So I said, okay, I will download the first episode for David Tennant. And I was completely confused. People didn't really tell me you need to watch Series 1 in order to truly catch on to the revived series. And after doing a bit of research, they said, well, you only really need the revived series to really get into it, because it's its own entity in itself. So I said, okay. And so I downloaded it and copied it into my iTunes folders and started watching it. And I was instantly hooked. Christopher Eccleston, I think that's how his name is pronounced. If I'm wrong, tell me. Just be nice about it. I've seen really stupid, mean YouTube comments aimed at some people I subscribe to for stupid reasons. Just for stupid reasons. Well, for example, Spade of the Bolt Matrix did a review of Transformers Voyager Rhinox from the new Thrilling 30s line. And someone pretty much told him he should kill himself because he got a faulty figure.
That I thought was ridiculous. If you see any sudden jumps, my cat is nudging the tripod. She is weird like that. Very, very weird. But anyway, I started watching with Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper, and I was pretty well hooked. I gotta say, I thought this was really interesting. It took a couple episodes, like with any series, but I grew to love it gradually. And then, of course, after a while, when we learned more about the Dalek and who the Doctor was, and of course, when the one and only Captain Jack Harkness came along, I think that really sealed the deal for me in a lot of future episodes. And so after that, I grew very, very attached to the series. And as well, then when David Tennant regenerated, I didn't realize that how influential the Christmas specials were. I had no idea that the Christmas specials kind of played part into future pieces. It was only in series 4, I believe it was, when the Doctor had his decapitated hand in a jar in the TARDIS, that I realized, oh, I missed that altogether. Why does he have a hand in a jar? Why is it his hand? So I missed out on a lot of that. But I digress. And then when David regenerated into Matt Smith, it took me a few days to get back into it because I didn't realize how emotionally ready one had to be to watch Doctor Who. And it took me a while to warm up to Matt Smith, but now I love him. If you haven't been able to tell from the bow tie and suspenders and shirt, that I love his mannerisms as the Doctor. I love his costume as the Doctor. We're going to bring the camera right back up to about my face level. Light is really bad, but I'm going to bring the camera over so you can see. These are our fake fish fingers. They do look pretty convincing, I gotta say. If I had realized I needed something a little more sticky, I probably would not have used as much flour on the board. So, follow the instructions on your sugar cookies. That is the most important part. Follow the instructions. These need about 10 to 12 minutes. I weighted down my parchment paper using some of my spices. You can use butter on this if you want to. I choose parchment myself just because everything comes off easier. Plus, you don't have to clean up the pan the same afterwards. So I'm just going to give another quick sprinkle of the graham crumbs to kind of top them off. So just another little bit, make them look a little more like fish fingers. Just like that. And then pop them in the oven anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. You don't want a dry cookie, you don't want a too crispy cookie, you don't want them burned first and foremost. So, right in there. Your remaining dough. Most importantly, what to do with the remaining dough? Well, Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags are your friend in the kitchen. I use them all the time for just about everything. But just pop it in a Ziploc bag. Get as much of the air content out as you can. It's difficult to do. If you have sealer bags to fit that and a food saver, use these things. This is my review of a food saver. It works great, I gotta say. But for this, it's okay like this. So you can pop that in the fridge. Make sure you clean up afterwards. Now you might be saying, how about the custard for fish fingers and custard? Well, watch this now. You watch this, you might miss something. Custard. Use canned custard. What I've done, I've opened my can of custard. And I put it in a couple of small jars, and I popped it in the fridge, because I love my custard nice and cold. I don't like warm custard. So it's chilling in the fridge. By the time these guys are done, the custard will be done. So right now, it is about, it's been in there for a couple minutes, so we'll be right back when it's all done, and I'll show you how awesome these fish fingers and custard are going to be. Okay, so the camera cannot actually focus on me, for whatever reason. Probably that light. There we go. One thing I forgot to mention to you, our fish fingers are almost done. But remember, dough rises. So they're a lot bigger than when we started. But I digress. We are going to come back down to the counter. Shaboop. You can see we've got a lot of tasty ingredients here. We are going to make a Doctor Who beverage. I got this recipe from the Warp Zone in their Drinking Games for Nerds, Doctor Who Drank the Last Beer. And this is called a sonic screwdriver. You need, and I'm measuring it in this because I don't have a shot glass, 1 ounce of vodka. I'm using Iceberg brand vodka. It's distilled in Newfoundland, and it is very tasty. I've tried this recipe a couple of times. So, 1 ounce of vodka, 1 ounce of blue curacao. I'm pretty sure only McGuinness makes blue curacao. So about 1 ounce of that. And depending on your own tastes, you might vary the recipe a little bit. Rose blue raspberry mix. I use 2 ounces. So that brings us up to 1/2 cup of stuff so far. So we have 4 ounces of stuff, 2 ounces of that is liquor, and right now it has this wonderful tartasy blue flavor. Pour that into a nice tall glass. But that's not all. Then, orange juice. Well, not for some reason. I know it's because it's good for me. I have Heartwise Minute Maid, but then just watch. Pour it in, top up your glass, and you have this wonderful green drink. Stir it up. I'm using a knife just because this is a tall, tall glass. And here you have a sonic screwdriver. Just look how green that is. You can't tell, but this is really freaking tasty. Really quick, I've only got a couple minutes on the card. Gonna take out our fish fingers. Been in there for a few minutes. And this is what they look like. They are huge. They're still soft and gooey. I'm going to give them another couple of minutes. But when we come back, we'll take them out and we'll show you how to plate them with some custard. See you in a bit.
At the time of recording this part of the video, we are at about 3 hours and 45 minutes away from the big moment. You can tell I am fully prepared for this. Now it's not too often I stand up, but of course, you gotta have a fob watch. Gotta have a fob watch. Gotta have a trusty sonic screwdriver at the get-go. Yeah, if any of you watched CBC News Network today, it's not the local, but one of the major news stations in Canada. Correspondent was there from Britain earlier this morning, talking about the Doctor, and he mentioned sonic screwdriver, and he said to the anchor that sonic screwdriver was not a cocktail. Well, I had to tweet and tell him otherwise, and I think if you saw it mentioned, that was me. I get credit. I credit myself anyway for throwing the reporters off on mentioning of sonic screwdrivers. I also tweeted them a picture of a sonic screwdriver, this one, next to a sonic screwdriver that you saw me make earlier in the video. So that's my huge highlight of the day of the Doctor so far. I was actually wondering what some of that stuff was over there. Yeah, we are getting so close. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. I've been watching some of the marathon that Space had on, and one of the episodes they showed was the first appearance of the Cybermen. from Doctor Who Series 2. Not Series 2, it'd be Season 2, the second Doctor, whatever you want to call it. And looking at the Cybermen, I just said to myself, wow, these guys must have been originally designed on the budget of a moldy ham sandwich, because they looked absolutely ridiculous. That's the only way I can describe it. They looked so silly, but at the same time, look at where it's come. That was in 1960, 68 or 69, I think. And here we are, 50 years later, with Doctor Who. It's such an exciting day. It is the day of the Doctor. Wow! Stephen Moffat, you are a genius. Holy crap. Yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock my time. I just finished watching Day of the Doctor. Thankfully, I have a PVR, so I was able to pause at a couple of moments. Wow! It was nothing like I expected it was going to be, but it was everything I wanted it to be. It was so well done. By now, everyone who's going to see it has possibly seen it, and if you haven't seen it, just stop watching right now. Seeing that, yes, this was indeed, John Hurt was indeed the Doctor that ended the Time War. Automatically, right there, you win huge props in my favor for confirming all that, Steve Moffat. Having Rose there as the Bad Wolf. And not just the Bad Wolf, as the consciousness of the moment. It was absolutely fantastic. No one would have saw that much coming. That there was such a correlation. Just everything, how the Doctors got introduced to each other was great. It was just so brilliant. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin. And yes, I'm still drinking these. They are really tasty. I'll say that much. Sonic screwdrivers, amazing. But there's just so much that was right about what they did with the whole thing. And it explored the Doctor, especially from the moment of John Hurt's big dilemma. That was the central focus. The only complaint I would have is very subtly about the Zygons, just because it worked, but at the same time, I'm not gone on that part. But everything else around it, focusing on what could we have done differently? Was there another option? And it was handled so well. Unbelievable. And especially a little subtle bit. We saw this from the nose up of Peter Capaldi as the... I don't know now if he's considered the 12th Doctor or the 13th Doctor. I don't know at this point. And it builds that suspense. But I think there's a whole bunch of fan service all throughout the episode. There was one of the scientists with UNIT. She was wearing the 4th Doctor's scarf the whole time. I thought that was great. We saw the Cyberman. We saw the Dalek. We learn more about UNIT. We saw Brigadier General Stewart's daughter in amongst everything with UNIT. And the big bit of fan service, I think, for everyone was Tom Baker at the end as the curator of the museum. I think that in itself was brilliant. To have a Doctor come back as a cameo telling the Doctor about what was happening, but he's not actually a Doctor, but the Doctor acknowledges that he could be him in another life. Oh, so brilliant. Oh, I gotta praise everyone's performance in it. Everyone was brilliant. Matt Smith as the Doctor, it took him a while to grow on me, but I adore him. David Tennant, still my favorite Doctor by far. Everything. And John Hurt, way better than I thought he was going to be. Way, way better. My expectations were kind of when I saw him introduced in the name of the Doctor. But phenomenal job. And Jenna Coleman as Clara, just so much fun. Oh, that was the other bit of fan service right from the beginning. The school Clara is working with, the head of the Board of Governors, is the first companion of the Doctor. So I thought that was a great bit of fan service right from the get-go. Well, even before that, the best bit of fan service, they used the original recording of the theme, and it looked like the original logo as well, to lead into all this. Oh, so brilliant. There's not a whole lot more I can say about it. So many great moments, and especially like the big climax when you see all the TARDISes come together. 13 TARDISes. And the way they used clips from all the other Doctors to make it seem like they were all talking. So well done. And then, of course, we have Matt Smith with the big Geronimo, followed by Tennant with Allons-y. so brilliant. Oh, I've only had 3 of these so far today, but I'm on the adrenaline rush and the combination. Just phenomenal. Stephen Moffat should be applauded for this episode. Thankfully, we don't have to wait much longer. It's only a little over a month before the Christmas special, so we'll find out a little more about how Matt Smith is going to regenerate into Peter Capaldi. I'm looking forward to that. I recorded this on my PVR. Odds are, for the next few days, I'm just going to be watching it. As soon as it goes live on iTunes, I'm going to buy it. Overall, absolutely phenomenal episode. This has been a wonderful day for me. There's a clip missing from before, but it's not worth editing in. My fish fingers and custard snack item was a little bit of a shaky kind of thing. The custard was great. Instead, I substitute fish fingers and custard for chicken fingers and French fries, just because it was easier and quicker for me to come up with. The sonic screwdrivers have been going over well. The real sonic screwdriver is still just a toy. But oh well. And it also has a nice big red button on the bottom that I close. May or may not have had one too many of those other sonic screwdrivers. But anyway, guys, if you watched The Day of the Doctor today, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm looking forward now to jumping on Twitter to see the reaction from the Twitter sphere. So while this is rendering, I'm going to do all that. But you guys have a great day, and who knows, I'll probably have a review of the Christmas special sometime after it airs. But this has been The Rev. This is my sonic screwdriver. This is my other sonic screwdriver. And all I can say is Geronimo.